Hello, hello. Hello. Can we have Marcos on the screen, please?
Hi, hello.
So we would like to spotlight on moderator and speakers. If you don't mind to close your cameras, and then later on you can turn it on again later after the presentation. So that would be okay. One screen from HR teams. Would you mind to turn off the camera, please? I'm not sure what his name, but that would be fine. So hello, Marcus. How are you today?
Very good. What about you?
Very good, thank you. So let's start it. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is a real privilege to be here today, to be hosting you, all of you. On behalf of TTA, Turkish Thai Association, my name is Kitty Chutipapa Pongponkit. I'm Thai. I am Business Development Executive at SDLT Blockchain Services Asia and also Sapio FinTech Services Asia. Our company is the worldwide leading provider of blockchain solution and also FinTech solution. So I am also a member of TTA, so helping with TTA to accomplish the mission. So we have a few webinars already, a few months, and also we started a webinar a lot since beginning of the year. So TTA is a nonprofit organization. Let's talk about TTA a little bit. So TTA Association's principal objective are to promote economic and cultural relations and to carry out activities with a view of enhanced mutual understanding and to promote and support goods and services, to organize, support, and leisure activities for members, to publish TTA bulletins and operate any form of support to members, and also giving advice to add guidance to the members, and also to organize social activities as well as the webinar events, and also actual event as well. So this afternoon, I will be the moderator for TTA Business Webinar for July series number 7. The topic is Entering ASEAN Market, Vietnam Market Focus, and Expand Business Internationally During COVID-19. So we have Mr. Marco Foster, a manager at Decent Chira and Associates. Decent Chira Associates is a ASEAN leading advisory, helping and being a great partner for all the businesses that want to enter in ASEAN market. So I'm very excited to learn about the contents today. And also I know everyone very eager to learn about what speaker want to talk about. So we're looking forward to know about why Vietnam and also what is the key markets entering and what is the strategy. So during the webinar, if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to write them down in the chat box. And also we will bring it up to read to the speaker to answer for you and after presentation as well. So if you are running out of times at the end of the sessions and you guys having more questions, please also feel free to write your email in the chat box as well. So we will follow up with the answer for you and send you all to the email. Without further ado, here we are, everyone. Please welcome Mr. Marco Foster, live from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Good morning, good afternoon, sorry. Good afternoon, Marco. How are you today?
Right, we're in the same time zone. Thank you, Kitty.
Yes, I thought like time zone different. So how's over there, the pandemic situation?
Right now, it doesn't look too good. Maybe you've heard in the news, but Vietnam did well over the past year. They went with the same strategy as in China with the zero COVID strategy. This doesn't work so well with the Delta variant. I think it's hitting all of Southeast Asia right now.
Yeah. It's very difficult, this Delta. Also, we got locked down here in Bangkok, the whole Thailand. So, well, thank you very much for being with us today, being our honor speaker, and we're happy to have you here. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, What are you doing currently as a manager? What is your role there? And also what brings you to live in Vietnam? Please tell
Yeah,
us
sure.
shortly about yourself.
Just very briefly, as Kitty said, I'm Marco Förster. I'm originally from Germany, but my mother is Vietnamese, so that's also a reason why I'm here. I moved to China in 2014, then worked with Dasan Sheeran Associates in Beijing for a few years, then in Shenzhen, and I just moved to Ho Chi Minh City finally earlier this year. I'm part of our IBA department, which is the International Business Advisory Department. So we help foreign investors with all compliance related things here in Vietnam, but also throughout the region in Asia.
Thank you, Marco. Very interesting story. So look like everyone ready to listen more about what you're going to tell us today. Seems like a very good content. Here you are. The floor is your, Marco. I'm going to put you on a hold so you can share the slides.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Can you see this? Oops. There we go. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So again, thank you, and I also thank the Turkish Thai Association for this opportunity. Today we're going to talk about Vietnam, its development and outlook, but also the reasons why and the reasons how to enter the market. Today I'll give you an introduction about the market. This will be good differentiation and overview of the perspectives for the investor who is not only new to Asia, but also for the investor who is familiar with Asia, maybe with Thailand or China or other ASEAN countries, and is maybe hesitant to make a decision where to go or where to go next. As said, Vietnam has been over the news, basically all over the news in the past year. Already pre-COVID, Vietnam has been hailed the true winner of the US-China trade war, and we will talk about this later as well. So I'll split this into 4 sections. Section 1 will be a market overview. We'll start very simple with a brief breakdown of geography, history of the country, then move on to key developments regarding economics and foreign direct investment with the latest numbers from 2020, as well as an analysis who are the main investors and import-export partners of Vietnam. And of course, Vietnam-Turkey relations. Section 2 will be why enter the market, the main reasons. I'll touch a little bit on the move from China to Vietnam and free trade agreements. Section 3 will be how to enter the market. First of all, where in Vietnam, which entity types you could consider. And section 4 will be a Q&A, as Kitty mentioned, where you can feel free to share questions and so on. So first of all, for those who don't know us, DSA is one of Asia's leading professional service firms that help foreign corporate investors with everything needed in compliance from A to Z. It starts with business intelligence, then going on to legal advisory, entity setups, corporate structuring, and so on, and ongoing management of the company in Vietnam or another country, which includes accounting, bookkeeping, tax filing, recruiting, HR services, payroll. Most of our clients are from Europe and the US. And most of them are also small and medium-sized enterprises. And we also do have a few Turkish clients and Thai clients, of course. All right, let's start with section 1, the Vietnam market overview and key developments. A very brief overview of the geography. I think you all know where the country lies. Vietnam is a fairly large country with a population larger than that of Thailand, a population larger than that of Turkey as well, but only half or less than half of the size of Turkey's landmass. The capital is Hanoi, the economic center and biggest city is in Ho Chi Minh City, population close to 100 million, and same time zone as I mentioned with Laos, Cambodia, Thailand and Indonesia. Just very briefly about the history. After World War II, basically, Japanese left and Vietnam quickly declared independence, but the French came shortly after, again resulting in further clashes and the end of the allegiance to the communist system, where it got support from the USSR and China, and then it led to the war with the USA Later on, I'll also touch on how Turkey comes into play there. This all ended, however, in 1975, and the country started rebuilding itself. It is called Doi Moi, which is similar to China's reform and opening up in the late 70s, but has helped private business and entrepreneurship to emerge and thrive in Vietnam. In 95, Vietnam joined ASEAN. ASEAN, of course, as you know, with around 655 million people, in there, Vietnam is out of the 10 member states, the third most populous, has the fourth highest GDP and the sixth highest GDP per capita, which is still below the ASEAN median. Vietnam joined the WTO. No, China joined the WTO in 2001, Cambodia in 2004, and Vietnam in 2007. So quite late compared to other ASEAN countries, Laos in 2013. The most recently historic signing of a Regional Comprehensive Economic Agreement, RCEP, has been the world's biggest trade deal with tariffs for many products and goods dropping in the coming years drastically. So if you joined this webinar, you probably already know, you probably already expect more from Vietnam than the average foreign, or I should say Western investor. These slides I have here are typically included in presentations to trade and business delegations that visit Vietnam for the first time to show them a different side of the country. Many still think this country is suffering from post-colonialism trauma and is war-torn, but these times are long over, especially for the young Vietnamese people. However, when simply Googling books, Vietnam books or Vietnam movies, as you can see on the slides here, you almost entirely find search results depicting a war. So this gives a pretty good image of what comes into mind when many people are hearing about Vietnam. However, just a different picture of Vietnam for you. This is Ho Chi Minh City these days, dubbed as one of the world's most dynamic cities. But let's go to the business-related data. Vietnam had a 2.91 GDP growth rate last year, which is even higher than China's and one of the few countries that experienced growth at all last year. The IMF for 2021 projected a real GDP change of 6.7%, which is extremely strong, especially after the strong H1, which Vietnam just experienced. However, this might change now due to the strict lockdown again, which came unexpected. Also, as Vietnam is becoming a manufacturing hub, exports naturally grow along, and there's a high import-export turnover and trade surplus for Vietnam. Also, for example, the Vietnam-Turkish relationship, where Vietnam also has a trade surplus. In the middle here, you can see FDI data over the past years. There's not much of a slump seen as, for example, in China in 2020. The main sector, of course, is manufacturing, and real estate is very big in Vietnam as well, followed by electricity production and distribution, wholesale, retail, and so on. The top countries investing in Vietnam in 2020 are those. So overall, it's basically always South Korea, followed by Japan. Just last year, it has been Singapore on top there. But South Korea and Japan are very vivid here to be seen throughout the cities. You can see it with buildings like Lotte Tower in Hanoi, or the Japanese infrastructure projects. For example, they built Hanoi's international airport terminal with an ODA loan project, or the Japanese flags are hanging here at the street in the middle of Ho Chi Minh City for the metro line construction site. That's where these come along. However, last year, as I said, Singapore topped the list. Turkey is around the top 25, amongst the top 25 countries investing into Vietnam. When it comes to top import and export partners, it's a very similar picture. Most imports in Vietnam come from China and South Korea, but the most exports to the high-spending consumer markets go out to the US, Europe, Japan, and other ASEAN countries. If you look at the top 5 import and exports, you can see that Vietnam is importing lots of raw materials, plastic, and textile for electronics and garment industry, which will be exported. But still, it's importing high-end machinery a lot for the newly set up factories, for example. But we will also see a move here away from low quality manufacturing and go further up the value chain. All right. If we look at Turkey-Vietnam relations specifically, so I have to be honest, I wasn't so sure whether there has been so much going on between Turkey and Vietnam in the past, but it seemed like since Vietnam has really picked up its economic growth, there has been a lot of developments in the 90s, and right now it's also advancing. So if we look at historical relations, Turkey has also been in a good light. When there was the Vietnam War, Turkey, as a NATO member, of course, was requested to assist South Vietnamese and American allies against communist expansions during the war. However, Turkey rejected this offer and consolidated a more diplomatic approach. So Turkey and Vietnam's relations would remain basically irrelevant until the end of the Cold War. If you look at the modern relations, diplomatic relations has been established in 1978. Turkey has an embassy in Hanoi. Vietnam has two diplomatic holds in Turkey, in Ankara and Istanbul. And both countries are very high prospects for growing FDI influx. For Vietnam, Turkey is also very important to tap the Middle East, Eastern market, given that Turkey is rather open in the region. Also, the first official big visit came back in 2017. You can see here in the photo, that was a former PM of Turkey meeting with the Vietnamese PM. In terms of economic relationships, I could only find data and numbers for 2017, where Turkey's exports to Vietnam totaled over 230 million, while the country's imports from Vietnam were around 3 billion. So a huge trade surplus for Vietnam there. Turkish investments, however, also grow. It was 26 in 2007, and it might grow up the ladder to become one of the larger foreign investors into Vietnam. Also keep in mind that these numbers and these rankings, considering Turkish investment into Vietnam, are always considered to be investments which come directly from Turkey. So lots of larger Turkish groups that already have a company or holding company in Hong Kong or Singapore and invest in Vietnam, they're not considered in this data. And these also amount to quite a large investment. One of those is even our client. All right. The why enter Vietnam? So this needs to be discussed in particular, and that's the mass migration right now from China to Vietnam, and then from Vietnam to the world. Some even call it an exodus. But here's what's happening. So the main reason for European, American, Japanese, South Korean, Hong Kong, Taiwanese, also Chinese and Turkish business to move out of China are the following four. First one is manufacturing. It's the most common and well-known reason to move from China to a cheaper country, whether that's in ASEAN or Bangladesh, and less so because of China or Vietnam, but mainly because of the price, from expensive to cheap. Hence, this is a rather old and outdated reason to move to Vietnam, to save labor costs. If we really want to move to Vietnam, you shouldn't go there for the labor costs advantage, but for other advantages the country offers. And also manufacturing, this move has happened before COVID, before the decoupling, and before the trade war. If we look at number two, escaping tariffs. So this started to pick up drastically with the trade war, of course, and there's an additional push through the great intertwining of Vietnam in the global free trade agreements web. If you want to sell to China and to the US and to the EU, Vietnam can circumvent most of these headaches. Third one, import-export processing center. This is related to the previous point and the country's location. So most exports in China leave the country from the Greater Bay Area. Vietnam is just a tad further south of that region, and even closer to Singapore and the Strait of Malacca, where many goods flow through. So this is a go-to choice for regional distribution centers in ASEAN, Asia Pacific, if not even global import-export processing. So yes, Vietnam sounds very promising so far, but there's also a hard stop. Probably the most important factor why Vietnam can be a flourishing manufacturing hub, but never Asia's manufacturing hub, is simply the size of the country. China, for example, is 16 times higher, has 16 times larger workforce than Vietnam. Vietnam is also a very narrow country, as you can see, a little bit like Thailand in the south. So it's sometimes hard to find a large workforce for these factories in central Vietnam. You need to be careful with your expectation management to Vietnam when you have really large investments or want to open huge factories, though it can accommodate them as well. I think Vietnam is perfectly suited for smaller companies, for small and medium-sized enterprises to enter now before I would see a big wave of FDI coming after COVID. So also foreign professionals, actually this is a more important point to foreign investors than I expected. It's a good place to live in. So in 2015, the country was ranked number 35 in the Internation's Working Abroad Index. I should have checked Thailand there as well to have a comparison, but we could do that afterwards. In 2016, this country in Southeast Asia has risen to the 12th place from 35th to 12th. In 2019, Vietnam ranked the world's 10th best country for expats, which is a really impressive jump. Why? So there's cheaper living costs than what you might used to. The country is rich in interesting culture and history. There's plenty of opportunity to work. It's relatively easy to set up your life here, and there's lots of opportunity to travel further. Vietnam is also more open to travelers in general. Not as open as Thailand, but still it's increasingly opening up with Vietnam having e-visas to be issued. Of course, the e-visa phase has also been on hold now due to COVID, but this will make things significantly easier and cheaper to obtain. Right. One additional point would also be the internet freedom compared to China and other restrictions. Vietnam is just simply more open society and country on that end. Final point on this slide, limitations of space, as discussed earlier. All in all, I describe Vietnam as the prime location for FDI right now, serving China, Europe, and the US. So if you're in Vietnam, it's like sitting in the first row of a concert hall. Seats do quickly fill up, though, so don't be hesitant. The move is going to go on, and also with COVID. So here we got a quite complex graph, quite complicated, but this is how Vietnam is really situated in the center and the web of international free trade agreements. China has, for example, signed more bilateral free trade agreements in number, but Vietnam recently signed the free trade agreement with the European Union, and the European Union has 27 member states. Also, Vietnam is part of ASEAN, similar to Thailand, and there's ACFTA. The ACFTA is the ASEAN-China free trade agreement, the largest free trade agreement in terms of population, and third largest in terms of nominal GDP. And then there's, of course, RCEP. That means that Vietnam is perfectly positioned for companies producing there to serve both the European Union and China, and the US, of course. However, when it comes to Turkey, I checked that Turkey has a free trade agreement with Malaysia and with Singapore, not yet with other ASEAN countries. And there is currently no free trade agreement between Turkey and Vietnam in negotiation. However, there's a free trade agreement between Turkey and Thailand in negotiation. So there we might see where Thailand plays out, where it might become a more go-to choice for Turkish business, given the free trade agreement in Thailand. Again, just to show you a shift in things here. This is 2018. You can still see a few yellow points here. And when we look at 2021, Vietnam has really free trade agreements with all of these above countries. All right. So let's go to how to enter the market, section 3. So first of all, which is also my last section. So first of all, where to enter the market. So we have 3 key economic regions in Vietnam, really. On the top here in red, that's the Red River Delta, with the capital Hanoi and the harbor city Haiphong. and the population there is bigger than that of Netherlands. And it's recently attracting more and more foreign firms to open production near the port in Haiphong. And it's very attractive to companies that already have something set up in South China. Then we look at the Mekong Delta in dark blue in the south, which is the population similar to that of Sri Lanka. And traditionally, this is the commercial center of Vietnam, also economically stronger than North Vietnam, but slower GDP growth. And in the middle there, you look at central Vietnam, surrounding Da Nang and Nha Trang, very popular for tourism, but also more companies are setting up there. To get a little bit about the specifics, so this is what we do as a firm. Our legal team helps foreign investors to set up or to advise on which company types to set up in Vietnam. And there are several different entity types. It's not as difficult as, for example, setting up a company in Indonesia, where you need a huge registered capital. In Vietnam, there is no minimum registered capital you need to have. However, they will check. You cannot open a $1 company, but it needs to be reasonable. The RO and the FIE here are the most popular investment vehicles for foreign investors, which is a representative office, basically not a separate legal entity. It has a mother company. You just want to do something in Vietnam without invoicing directly, without earning money directly in Vietnam. So you set up an RO. This can mean you source in Vietnam, you do market research, you need to sponsor your visa as a foreign individual, and RO is sufficient. An FIE basically is a limited liability company with foreign investors you can set up here in Vietnam as well. An RO takes roughly half the time and also half the money, half the cost to set up than an FIE when engaging in a professional service provider such as us. Just to show you how these setup procedures work, this is an RO registration procedure. I'm happy to share the slide with you afterwards. We have to go through these several steps here. For an RO, for an FIE, it looks like this. So I think we're good in time. Just closing words. Okay. We got also market access facilitation through our firm, which we offer by Asia Merger as well. If you want to do M&A activities in Vietnam, don't want to invest directly with an FIE, you can look at M&A. And also if you look at Vietnam Briefing, we have a publishing subsidiary, which is called Asia Briefing, with ASEAN Briefing, Vietnam Briefing, China Briefing, where you can find nearly daily news on regulatory updates in each market. On ASEAN Briefing, we also cover Thailand. So closing words here before we start the Q&A. Really the question here is Vietnam really it? So I hinted it a little bit before, so it depends on how we define it. So if it means the factory of the world, no way. No way China can be replaced by Vietnam there. But if it really means a good place or perfect place, conveniently located geographically and in the network of FTAs with the West and China, then absolutely yes. So that's why Vietnam is the favorite destination for companies which face struggle during the beginning of the US-China trade war, and there's this big hype for Vietnam. But there are also bottlenecks. So I think right now, you are at the crossroads with Vietnam, especially with the current COVID pandemic. We can talk a little bit if you're interested how the situation looks here, but I don't think it's much different from Thailand. But thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marco. It's very good, informative, and a lot of information that we have learned about Vietnam. And we have a few questions here already from, let me just go back to the chat. So first question is from Ibrahim. Ibrahim here. So would you like to speak or?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Actually, it was first of all amazing presentation. Great, super. Really, I enjoyed a lot, and we learned a lot about the market. It was unbelievable, amazing. My first question, actually, I have got many questions about Vietnam. When Marco was presenting, it created lots of questions because the information was very informative, super good. I met with many associations. With consulting companies, but looks like, Marco, your company knows what they are doing quite good, very good. I mean, again, congratulations for the presentation. My question, what are the most popular products that Vietnam is importing? I mean, not all of them, but I mean, just a couple of 3, 4, 5.
Right. So specifically, if you look at a global scale, where Vietnam is importing, there are lots of higher end quality products that Vietnam is importing. So that I think number one there is computers, electronic products, and components, even though Vietnam is starting to produce themselves a lot. I think the largest investment in the country is from Samsung. But also on the second scale where it's a lot of machinery and equipments. And this is for these new factories that are opened up. They have a high demand to import machinery from abroad to facilitate the production. Then again, still there's a lot of demand for textile because Vietnam has, I think, Nike and Adidas producing in Vietnam. But they're moving away from that, so that share is becoming less and less, and plastics materials for production. I also saw on the bilateral data between Turkey and Vietnam that Vietnam is importing machines from Turkey and also importing some electronic goods from Turkey, and it's exporting lower end material to Turkey, such as cashew nuts and things like that.
Yeah, those things from Turkey is very good quality, and the
Right.
size is very big too. So I also see that those kind of agricultures or something from Vietnam, they have cashew nuts as well. When you mentioned about Turkey, you got import cashew nut from Turkey. But when actually I went traveling to Vietnam, with my family, we saw a big size of a cashew nut. So we thought that is very produced from Vietnam. What is that exactly?
A big size. What did you see?
The cashew nuts that mostly they, the good quality and.
Right. I think Vietnam is even one of the largest producers worldwide for cashew nuts. I think top 3 or top 2. Same with coffee. Yeah.
Is that answer? Good question. Is very good question, Ibrahim. Is that okay for you with the answer? You happy?
I'm very happy. Definitely.
Yes, and we have a few more questions here. Just one second. So again, so Ibrahim, I wanted to invest solar farms. Shall I establish a company in Vietnam? What is the cost of establishing such as energy investment company approximately?
Kitty, exactly. So because Vietnam is very popular market for the energy investment now, solar energy especially. Most of the companies, they are moving from the other countries to the Vietnam to invest. Is what we are hearing. But the basic question is, okay, I'm investor, I have money, I will build a solar farm. This cost I know, but how much does it cost for us to build, establish a company? And do I need to establish a company in Vietnam?
Right. So actually, we have clients in that field. So I can speak from first-hand experience there. Vietnam is opening up right now for foreign investors to tap basically tenders of the government for renewable energy projects. So you got wind farms there. We have a client there who's working in central Vietnam to get these tenders and public tenders there, and solar, of course. So and Philippines, for example, is doing the same right now. So right now, most of these tenders require that you have a company set up in Vietnam, because these government authorities of these municipalities or provinces, they actually want to invoice a local company which is registered in Vietnam, so that also VAT in Vietnam is paid for this and everything, and corporate income tax and so on, and that there will be jobs created for this in Vietnam. There are a few players on the market already, but generally, if you want to set up here, you should first of all decide where you want to set up. Most companies set up in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. Most, of course, in Ho Chi Minh City. We do have a client, for example, who sets up somewhere near a project in a very remote province, and he really received tremendous difficulties in paperwork because they just cannot handle it like in Ho Chi Minh City. Here they're used to foreign business investing. So I would suggest setting up either here or in central Vietnam, and then really working on getting a few of these deals. What's to be considered there is, first of all, the general cost of setting up a company. This would include the registered capital. So there you would roughly need to know how much really you need to invest in order to run that company. If that registered capital is too low and you want to set up the company and the authorities are like, oh, but this doesn't meet the requirements if you really want to have such a project, and then they won't, then they will reject your application. So it's a very subjective decision there.
Very, very good. So, and also, I think we have a lot of questions about electricities and energies right here. So, there's another question from Pimpakan. What is the cost of electricity unit rate from government in Vietnam approximately? Thank you.
Oh, that's something I don't know. You can send me an email afterwards. I can have a chat. Yeah.
So Kun Pipakan can share your emails in here. So we'll follow up with the answer for you. And also there's another question from Napak Sarant. What is the return on investment of solar energy? How many years? That's such a question.
That's also a very specific question on the solar market. So first of all, you would need to know what kind of projects you would be investing in. So is that an official project to help out a region in Vietnam, or is that a private project to install something on factory rooftops? So this is, for example, very hot right now, that factories and industry parks are partnering up with solar energy providers, photovoltaic providers, to install the whole factory roof with solar panels. So it depends. It's difficult to say. Yeah,
it's quite depends. And Joseph, one more question. I think Joseph already on the screen. Would you like to have the speaker on?
Yusuf Bey. Yes. Yeah, Yusuf Bey. I think it's Yusuf Bey. Yes, Yusuf.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from me. My connection was weak. Right now it's better. Yeah, as I said on my text, I'm importing sawn timbers from Africa, but I want to access some teak timbers. The origin is mainly Myanmar, but due to the political instability there, I cannot access a trustable partnership. Vietnamese companies are very active in Africa and in Myanmar, so I want to get in touch with trustable Vietnamese partnerships for teak business.
Okay. This is something our business intelligence team can actually work out for, to find out sourcing partners or cooperation partners here in Vietnam based on our clients' requirements there. So that's where we can look specifically what you're looking for. I know that the wood business is very large here. Vietnam is deploying lots of their staff in Africa. I see that in the state TV here sometimes. And of course, Myanmar, understand the situation. There's also a lot of foreign investors or foreigners who've lived in Myanmar before that are moving to Thailand and Vietnam now, because right now you can't really do business there.
Okay, thank you.
I think yourself, you are in a good hand. So you can follow up with him, or Marco can follow up with you later on and discuss about the business later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Yes. We don't really have a questions from audience at the moment, but if you guys like to voice over asking more questions, please feel free. And also, actually, I was talking about the cashew nut. Let's go back to the cashew nut, Marco. It's really like something that I'm interested to, because actually, I wanted to import actually the cashew nuts from Vietnam to Thailand. And from your point of views, would you think that it would be like, possible to really import from there during this pandemic? I mean, it's such a hard time to really do anything.
I think within ASEAN, it's fine even during the pandemic. As far as I know, lots of logistics here, at least domestically, there's not an issue at all. I would not imagine there's an issue in Thailand. It has to be rerouted through Cambodia, most likely. That's the route if you go from Ho Chi Minh City to Bangkok. But I think in ASEAN there are enough yeah, logistics service providers that can do that, and there are highways that run through the countries. So we're just a 1 hour flight apart. During the pandemic, it seems extremely far away. But I wouldn't think there's an issue importing exporting within ASEAN right now, especially you don't have a volatility from the shipping routes.
Yeah.
If you get a truck or something like that. But yeah, I think that would fine. I'm just not sure whether there's a lot of demand in Thailand for cashew nuts, whether cashew nuts grow in Thailand themselves.
So you're
Yeah.
specifically like you guys have different teams to taking care of businesses in different kind of industry for your company, right? So whatever business want to invest or want to have a partner in Vietnam, so you having a teams to really taking care of in the different industry.
Right. Our teams, we do have industry experts, but we have different service teams. So I'm just doing the initial advisory. I'm finding out where's the client's problem, what do they need. Then we have a legal team, Vietnamese lawyers. We have an accounting team talking about tax, accounting, and so on. HR team helping with the recruitment. So really, if you want to enter Vietnam, we have that. And then, which is quite interesting, our business intelligence team somehow helps everyone who doesn't want to enter Vietnam yet or who wants to find a partner in Vietnam. So there we have locals, but also foreigners really working on requirements of our clients there, finding up a partner or sourcing people who want to source in Vietnam but cannot travel to Vietnam now. For example, you want to find the best cashew nuts. Can you maybe go on site and check whether this is good enough, whether they're trustable. Do they have a business license registered in Vietnam? Can I do trusted business with them? So they would be able to help.
Interesting. And would we also want to know about like technology like in Vietnam? I heard that is one of the largest, like the population, almost everyone's using Facebook and almost like everyone's using, like they know technology.
Right. So mobile technology is very big in Vietnam. There are so many different service providers, also from abroad, that try to get a little bit of a share of the digital market in Vietnam. So, for example, you got Grab here, you got Gojek here, you got Alibaba's Lazada here, you got Shopee here, you got Tiki, a local firm here. So you have all these different service providers and companies that try to get a share of this market. And right now, it still doesn't look like there's one single winner. So we're still fighting about this. It's not as mature in some other markets, but it's extremely high and efficient. And given the young workforce, it's also increasingly becoming, which many people don't know, an outsourcing center. So similar to the Philippines or India, foreign companies are finding programmers in Vietnam instead of in their own countries because they're cheaper and they can do the work quicker, maybe better. So it's becoming increasingly an outsourcing hub as well.
And what about our technology, like startups, technology like blockchains or fintech, as I am from this industry. So what do you have points of view on this technology, blockchain, fintech, those insurance techs, you know?
The government said, I think a few weeks ago that Bitcoin and all that wasn't really allowed to invest here directly by a Vietnamese national, but they're trying to really liberate that a little bit and allow a little bit of freedom there. That was announced a few weeks ago, but nothing specific has been done so far. However, I can see that in the Facebook groups, as you mentioned, everyone's on Facebook, they're all trying to find ways to get on Bitcoin or Ethereum or other digital cryptocurrencies and invest there as well. So that's where Vietnamese are also very high in, and the news are oftentimes reporting on Vietnamese either winning a lot or losing a lot of money there.
That's interesting.
So I
Insight.
think in terms of services, there's not much going on right now within Vietnam, but they try to tap the global internet to get on crypto.
And do you also have not just the financial like cryptocurrency blockchain, but also like different kind of blockchain like enterprise, like such as medical records or like track and trace, or
Right.
also logistic like or track and trace startup company. Is that a big things there as well?
I would imagine there to be, but I'm not sure about that. So I mean, given the digital, the many people being here in digital and working on startups right now, especially being stuck at home during COVID, I think there are lots of blockchain ledgers and everything being done to maybe protect services or privacy of some data. But we do, now that I think about it, we do also have a client from the Philippines who would like to enter Vietnam right now and that client is in the digital or the data security business, also working with blockchain. And they would like to provide their services to government offices throughout ASEAN. And they're looking to invest in Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam right now. So I think it's also still in the baby shoes a little bit, but you can get a share of a potentially big market in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And we have a few more questions. Ibrahim, would you like to have a voiceover?
Well, actually, but I think you saw it. I was just planning to tell you there are questions. Okay.
Okay. So there's one more, Sinan. So is that possible to export Thai cosmetic products to Vietnam under ASEAN cosmetic regulation, or still have to get specifically permit from FDA Vietnam?
Okay. This is also something our legal team would have to check on this, but I would imagine that this is okay. Just from my experience, I'm not sure if you know that in Thailand, but many of my cosmetics or the soap always have Vietnamese and Thai on it, or Indonesian and Vietnamese. So I think all of these went through the countries under the ASEAN cosmetic regulation, and I don't think that they need to be getting special approval unless it's very sensitive in Vietnam again. If you send me an email or text me on LinkedIn, we can check.
Okay, so maybe if anyone's here asking some questions and you guys want to know more about information, so Marcus will connect with the team, the excellent teams, to get back to you. So you can write out your email here on the chat box. So we'll get back to you with the information and some follow-up information that Marcus can work out with the team. And
there was a question here before Sinan. Mrs. Meral, she's asking, she says her internet is not good, so she just typed. She's asking about the olive oil market in Vietnam.
Right. So olive oil for cooking or cosmetics, so that would also be a difference there. But the olive oil market here seems also be on a trending rise. So we got more and more people here wanting to go more for healthy living, and lots of these supermarkets here are stacked with all types of olive oil from Spain or Italy or other countries. So I haven't seen Turkish olive oil yet. I'm not sure if Turkey exports olive oil, but it could be something.
That's interesting. Yeah. I feel like there's so many products that we want to deep dive to have a discussions with you, Marco, but we're quite running out of time. We have 10 minutes, but if you guys need to ask more questions, please write it down or voice over, and also write out your email. We'll get back to you with any question that you coming to have it later. And maybe we going to end up the sessions very soon. So is there any more questions? Would you like to add? Ibrahim?
For me, it's okay. I have millions of questions, but time is limited. I think we will speak to Marco and Jasmine later on also. It's just a second meeting with them. I think we will keep in touch. So they are going to be exist in Thailand as well, physically. Yeah. So I think it will be great to see such kind of company in Thailand as well. They're quite good, really. I really impressed here.
And Marcus, your company also in Thailand? Is it location in Thailand?
We're looking to expand to Thailand right now. So at the moment, we're also looking for someone on the ground in Thailand who could join our firm. So that's a market we want to expand in. And of course, we have 13 offices in China, and this is our main market. And right now, we're experiencing so many of our clients going out. So we want to go there before they go out and be there for them. So that's the move we want to take. And also, if any of you ever comes to Vietnam or Ho Chi Minh City after COVID, feel free to visit us here. And Vietnam has also quite some Turkish restaurants. So there's a lot of durum and burek and all that stuff.
Yeah, seems like 80% here in participants are Turkish. Thai and a few Thais. And
one thing that could be imported would be ayran. That's something I haven't found yet. And Vietnamese love yogurt.
Really? Oh,
yeah. Okay. I haven't seen ayran anywhere.
How about yogurt? Did you see yogurt?
Yogurt, yes. Yogurt is everywhere, but it's all sweet.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Actually, it was also in Thailand when we came 3 years ago. There was just one brand. They do normal yogurt without sweet, but now there are many brands in the Thailand market, supermarkets, many. Plenty. Yeah.
It's a very high competitive market.
Okay, that's really good information, Marco.
Yeah. Marco is very
if not just you can, I will import 5 every month from you for personal use.
Okay. Well, it's look like we have covered all of questions here. So now we have a few minutes left. So before we closing, Marco, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up?
No, I said everything I wanted to say.
Okay, so anyone need to talk to Marcos, please just send him an email or also leave you guys emails here. So we'll get back to you for sure. And excellent. Thank you very much, Marco. So it's come to the end of the session. So on behalf of TTA, our speaker and myself, we would like to thank you very much for all of you for your interest and joining us here today webinar. So thank you for being together with us for the whole 1 hour. We hope to see you guys next time. So stay tuned for the next webinar. And we're coming to have every month webinar about 2 or 3 times. So until then, stay safe and being healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.